Now, you guys didn't start a timer last time. Okay.
Yeah, we were guessing.
I was segueing out perfectly until somebody brought up the pot of money that I was like, oh my God. You noticed it, didn't you?
We know, yeah.
Thank
They noticed
you
it in
guys.
there. They made some comments.
Okay, see? I was segueing perfect, and then all of a sudden he drops this money bomb, and I'm going, are you kidding me?
Well, you got to let me know.
Is this on right now? This would be perfect.
Well,
Drew and Mike would be proud of this right
figure
now.
it out.
Drew and Mike would love this.
You know, you're not going to give me the time. I'm rolling, baby.
I was like, dude,
I'm here for the people. The people want to know. Okay.
God.
And I asked her about a dream. How was that bad?
God, we're talking about her book. I'm segueing out of the book.
We're talking about a dream to help
Jesus,
people.
man.
It's a dream.
You guys ready? So, you guys ready? That was our intro. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Relatively Speaking. I'm Mark Hackle, and this is my brother Bill. And again, what we're trying to do is just give people understanding what's happening in and around Macomb County, bring in some of the subject matter experts and talk about things that are happening to have people better understand, what county government does, what municipalities do, and services that are being provided. And one of those things is one area that I've always loved. It's one of those things it's been part of my upbringing in the Sheriff's Department since I was a dispatcher. And it deals with one of the greatest lakes in the entire country during the summer months, Lake St. Clair. And it's the Macomb County Sheriff's Marine Safety Program, the Marine Division. And with us, we have a very special guest, a gentleman who's done a fantastic job growing within the department itself, and is now the lieutenant in charge of the Marine Division out on Lake St. Clair, and that is Gary Wiegand. Gary, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. Appreciate being here.
He's one of these guys that the minute he came in the doors, you had this sense he's definitely one that gets it. He understands how to deal with people first and foremost. Doing the work. God, you were part of the SWAT team. You're part of the training. You're part of the dive team.
I've been blessed with a good career. Like you said, I worked a couple of years in the jail, went right to road patrol, and then I was full-time Marine Division. I remember the day you were the sheriff at the time, and when you gave me that spot or put me in that spot. And after 4 years out there full-time at the Marine Division, I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I went and worked undercover. It was kind of a big switch from working the boats to going and working undercover. But
yeah.
Well, we're not. Well, speaking of undercover, I got to say it. I got to talk about this. It's one of my favorite moments with Gary.
No.
We can go back in time. No, this is a good one. Him and I are working the wave runners. Can I do it, Gary? I'm going there.
Absolutely,
I'm going
sure.
there. Gary and I we're working the wave runners, and we're working the Jobby Nooner out there on Lake St. Clair. And one of my favorite things to work. And so Gary was he was my partner, and so he's on a wave runner. We're cruising around, and people are throwing us beads, and they're waving at us, taking pictures with us, and all that kind of stuff because we were engaging with him. And all of a sudden, I lost sight of Gary. I couldn't find him. I'm thinking, what the heck happened? I went around this big, large boat that had a big swim platform, and I think it was the Budweiser girls were on that boat or something.
It was the Drew and Mike, the Riff Rock girls.
Oh, the Riff Rock, that's who it was. It was one of those. So I go around the corner, and I'm like, okay, so I lose sight of Gary. I'm going, uh-oh, what happened? So I turn back around, I look, and there's Gary by the swim platform. And some of the people that were on the boat were applying sunscreen all over the top of his head.
Yes.
They were trying to help him make sure that he was
nice people.
It was very
Public
nice.
service.
It was very kind. It was very kind.
Yeah.
And I look over at him and I just smile and I go, okay, Gary, we got to get going here.
I remember. So get back.
You didn't have to shake your head real quick and have them do to you?
No.
I was just trying to be polite to everybody out there. But, but that's the thing. Everyone out there is having a good time, and
it really is.
We're not out there to ruin anybody's good time. We just want to make sure everyone stays safe.
And that's what I appreciate about your personality and that style. People get the impression that we're out there trying to, enforce the laws. We're not. We're out there to try to figure out how to make people have a good time. And you get that. And that's 100%. The sentiment that you're hopefully going to be able to kind of get the others that are going to work out there in the Marine Safety Program to enjoy and be a part of as well.
Exactly. So. And I'm very early on in my career when I was put on the Sheriff's Department dive team, that's one of the unfortunate parts of the job. When we're enacted, it's usually because there was a bad boating accident, and the majority of what the dive team does is body recoveries, and that's an unfortunate part of the job. I spent 18 years on the dive team. The last 9 years I ran the team, and that was one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we did as a department to educate people so we didn't have to use the dive team as much. That was something that we really didn't like doing, but it would give families closure, but it also always drove all the deputies to, we're going to do law enforcement through education. We're going to educate people, and hopefully that we can reduce all these types of boating accidents, which I think we've done a good job.
And not only the premier law enforcement agency out on Lake St. Clair, obviously we work alongside of St. Clair County as well as the Coast Guard, but there's no question the biggest presence is from the Sheriff's Office in Macomb County. But having that dive team. I mean, you are the premier dive team in this entire area, this region,
Right.
and you get called upon even from local municipalities to do some of the inland searches if there's an issue or
Right, yeah,
something.
we've assisted Oakland County before. Recently, we went to East Lansing to assist with the search of a missing student there. Right now, we have 13 members in the dive team. When I ran the team, or when I was on it, we had 12, but all 12 of those members at one time were all master divers. They're all sheriff's deputies, so they can take specialized classes to testify what they see underwater, to photograph what they see underwater, and to testify in court. So we have one of the premier dive teams, like you said, in the state. And we have very sophisticated equipment, from a new dive boat to a sonar unit to an underwater robot. So we're actually keeping the divers safe too, with the advancements in technology that we're using.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate when you do have to go in the water, it's not for a good reason, and that's the unfortunate reality.
There's special boats to dive from?
Yes, we have it's a 32-foot, the brand of the boat is called a Munson, but it's a landing craft style boat, like you'd see in the movie Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
The front of the boat will actually drop right down, so we can have an easy ingress and egress in and out of the water. So I can put my divers in, and if we're making a recovery, whether it's evidence or whatever the case may be, and we can lift that gate right back up and bring things into the boat.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the part most people don't realize sometimes when you're bringing them into the boat, that becomes somewhat of a challenge,
Yes.
and now having a different type of boat that provides that easy access makes it a little bit less challenging, I guess.
How many boats are in the division then?
So what I would call working boats.
Yeah.
We have about 10 boats that we use for working boats. We have 3 what's called Almars, or safe boats, or the boats that'll right themselves if they were to get flipped over. They're completely encapsulated to keep you safe and dry from the weather. We have one of our older style fiberglass boats, one of the big Cherokees that you remember. That's what our fleet used to be made of. We have 2 bigger center consoles, a Boston Whaler and a Fountain, and then we're supplemented with 4 wave runners. We have a jet boat, and we have a handful of smaller 16-foot runabouts if we have to do something inland. We even outfitted one for ice rescues.
Okay.
We have to traverse an amount of ice and then launch the boat in the water. So we have a wide variety of patrol boats.
And interesting enough, I mean, when you talk about the number of boats, the normal amount of people that we sign out there on a regular basis, full-time officers, is minimal in comparison to the reality of the force multiplier with the Marine Safety Program.
Correct.
Once ran by Tony Viviano, God rest his soul, what an incredible asset he was. But now I do believe Bud Fox is the new
Bud
commander out there.
Fox, and Bud Fox is the number 1 man in charge of that, with Paul Schammel, number 2, helping him out. And there's just over 75 Marine safety officers. So these men and women, they volunteer their time 100%. They buy their own uniforms, supply their own firearms. We train them, and they're out there helping the deputies, the full-time people. We couldn't do the job without them.
And many of them understand the rules of the roads, of the waterways, probably better than some of the new ones that are coming out there that are sworn deputies working within the department. They help educate them on how to operate vessels and how to understand the nature of the lake,
Right.
the layout. They really get it, and so I mean that is a tremendous asset.
It is. Yeah, a lot of those, like you said, a lot of those Marine safety officers live on the lake, grew up on the lake, where a couple of them are boat captains in different facets, that they can really help out. They help out a ton.
You guys have classes, educate people?
Boater safety classes, yes.
How often are those?
We're trying to run a boater safety class at least one every month. Pre-COVID, we were in the schools and we were teaching thousands of kids. Back years ago, when I was a full-time deputy out at the Marine Division, taught over 10,000 students the boater safety program. But we still run the class. It's a little bit harder in the summertime because our personnel is out on the lake, but like I said, I'm going to try to put a class together at least so we have one at least once a month.
And they've been doing that for years, decades. I mean, I remember I was 12 years old when I took it at Lincoln High School. My grandfather at the time said you can drive the boat out of Lake Ogama, the fishing boat, but you better get your boater safety certificate. So I got hooked up with the Sheriff's Department and took that training. And was able to operate a boat at 12 years of age.
Correct.
And
yeah.
so, I mean, most people don't realize it's not a very difficult class, very informative. But anybody who's listening to this, if you haven't had a boater safety class and you like boating, you should take one. You learn a lot from it. But also, if you have young kids that are, I think 12 years of age at least.
12. Yeah. So it's interesting, and a lot of people don't realize this. I'm glad you brought that up. December 31st of 1978. So when I was teaching a class, I always remembered, okay, that's the last day of the year in 1978. That's when the state started this and grandfathered people in. So 1979, if you were born then or later, to legally operate a wave runner or a PWC, you have to have a boater safety card. And when you think about that age, those people are getting up there.
Yeah.
But if you're stopped on any lake in the state of Michigan, the law reads you're supposed to be able to produce that boater safety card and show it to a law enforcement officer.
And that's a personal watercraft.
43
That's for correct.
has to show you one.
Correct. And that is for a personal watercraft. Now, the law recently changed for boats. Now they're requiring, and I have to refresh myself with the exact date, but it's July 1st of 1996. Anybody born after that date has to have a boater safety card to operate a boat.
Oh,
You can start driving a boat at 12 with that boater safety card. But anybody born after that date that I just mentioned in 1996, you have to have that boater safety card for the rest of your life. So that's like your driver's license
So
for a boat.
it's not the myth of I got a driver's license, therefore I can operate a boat.
Correct. And that's happened before. I've taught new deputies. They don't need a driver's license to drive a boat. In certain situations, though, they need that boater safety card.
Yeah, we just had a judge ask that question in their judge listserv. It's like, this guy wants he doesn't have a license, he can't operate a boat. I said, well, if it's before this date, yes. If not, he's got to have this, but he doesn't need a license.
and what does that entail? The actual course itself? How many hours, and what does it take to go through
We
it?
teach that class. I'd like to teach it. Spend 10 or 12 hours, but we've got the class down to 8 hours, and when we teach it over the summer, we'll
Two
maybe
4-hour
have
blocks, or-
two 4-hour blocks on maybe consecutive Saturdays or consecutive Thursday evenings or something like that. But after about 8 hours of instruction, and then you take a test, and the state does it all online. It's through the Department of Natural Resources, but all of or a big number of our men and women are certified to teach the class. But yeah, after 8 hours of instruction, and it's all stuff that you really need to know. They're teaching you things like, how to read the vessel's capacity plate so you don't overload a boat. How many people can I safely put on this boat? Weight and equipment. What do the navigation lights mean? How do I find my way around, at night? Fire extinguishers, flares, life jackets are a big thing we talk about. All the different terminology so people, just so you know the rules of the road and what to do. Another big one besides the boater safety card and the personal watercrafts are the life jackets. Children under the age of 6, they have to have a type 1 or a type 2 life jacket, and they have to have it on. And parents don't realize, you can buy a type 3 life jacket that will fit a child under the age of 6. But the difference is a type 1 or a type 2, they're guaranteed to hold the person's head out of the water. So the Coast Guard tests them.
It's got the thing in the back.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Judge. Yeah. So it's got the thing in the back. It'll hold
Keep
even
them
an
upright.
unconscious person's head above water.
So grown-ups should have that.
You should. In all reality,
Good luck.
yes. So,
But does it look cool?
no, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
But children under the age of 6, they have to have one on. Everybody else, you have to have one on board your boat, the proper size and fit for the intended wearer. So when we stop a boat, we're doing our safety inspections. We like to see, what I'll do is I'll tell a boat captain, all right, sir, what I'd like you to do is get your life jackets out, and I want you to put one life jacket in each of your passengers' hands. And then I kind of look at my watch to see, because the law states you have to get them out in a reasonable amount of time. So
Readily accessible.
Readily accessible,
Right,
correct.
right.
And then I'll look to see what size life jacket he handed each person to make sure it's an adult universal or it's a size that's going to fit that person. And also that it's in good serviceable condition. If
Right.
there's a
But if he's
rip
got
or
8 or
tear-
9 more back there, you're not going to nail him for handing the wrong one.
Correct.
Okay.
No, and we've gone as far as, people are passing out life
Providing
jackets like, oh man, we're short. Well, we've had
provided
deputies that we give life jackets out. We keep extra life jackets on our boat, and that just goes along
Cool.
to where we're not there to
Correct.
ruin anybody's weekend. Hey, you're short a life jacket, and
We'll find you one.
We're all being polite to each other. Guess what? I'm going to give you one.
Yeah.
And so that way you can go out and enjoy your weekend and keep everybody safe.
And that's important. I mean, you stop and think about it. Obviously, the tragedies you have seen out there, I've witnessed and experienced as well. It's difficult, but the reality is we're out there, and again, it's it's not a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 type of job. I mean, they're out there basically sun up to sunset. You guys are out on that lake and even beyond, and they're accessible or available 24/7. Because we know sometimes late at night you have that 1 or 2 boaters that are out there. An incident or situation may happen, and you will respond to that. I mean, it's something that the Marine Safety Program provides that obviously 24-hour, law enforcement out there on that waterways.
100%. We're all my full-time guys are on call. I'm always used to being on call from SWAT and dive and all the different things like that. But we're on call, and not only dusk till dawn, but there's nights I've got guys out there, well beyond midnight, and they're always out there. They're ready to respond.
And especially if there's major events. Like
Any big events,
the raft offs,
your
the
raft
jobbing
off,
units,
jobbing unit.
fireworks
Yep.
displays, and
We'll
things of that
keep-
nature.
We keep people, and there's on some of those nights, you'll get the phone calls, and I'm talking to the deputies that are out there. If I just worked 16 hours or something, I'm going home, but I've got guys out there, and I'll tell them, hey, anybody left on that, drive around that lake, what do you see? There's still people that stick around out there for a little while. So if there's a big event, we're out there.
Silly question. Joppy Neuter, that's in St. Clair, though, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So anything that you guys would done, or the St. Clair police have to deal with that.
St. Clair County Sheriff's Department is the lead on that. So, but one of the things that you need to remember is if you look at Lake St. Clair on a map, so you look at like St. Clair Shores, what they call that nautical mile, from 9 mile to 10 mile, there's more boats registered there in that small area per square mile than anywhere else in the nation. And so all those people, or a vast majority of the people who are going to these parties, whether it's in Muscatine Bay or Gull Island, which, as you said, is in St. Clair County, they all start their day and end their day in Macomb because they're leaving maybe the Clinton River, the Black Creek, Brandenburg Park, or somewhere in St. Clair Shores, Harrison Township, and that's a large number of people who are coming and going in that area.
And you have jurisdiction on all those creeks and canals.
So we have
and everything
reciprocating
else.
jurisdiction with Wayne County, St. Clair County. Very good working relationships with both of those county sheriff's department, is where our Marine Division is set. We're real close to the county line. So, for instance, Strawberry Island. Behind Strawberry Island, there's what they call the flats of Lake St. Clair, where there's lots of cottages on their own unique little islands. And so we'll help St. Clair County out, and as they will with us if they're close to something. We all help each other.
Always a great working relationship, and then obviously some people don't realize that that border we share with Canada, and sometimes people get confused about that. Going over into the Canadian border.
International border.
It's a unique challenge. It is.
If you're familiar with the lake, that's the shipping channel. Anywhere over when you're over by Gull Island, and you see that shipping channel where the freighters are running, you got to remember the other side. You're in Canada.
Different rules.
Yes, much different rules there.
And you need to be cognizant of that.
I get DNR fishing people fighting all the time over where the fish was from.
Yeah.
But you're coming in at a great time, too. It's exciting. Obviously, we're building that new marine safety facility, the actual Marine Division. And again, most people don't recognize, but sometimes people do. It's at the end of South River Road, the DNR access point right out there, and even the DNR facility where the fishery is out there. It's been around forever, that building, and so it's going to be completely demoed. They're going to be taking it down. They're going to put up a new seawall, and about a new $8 million facility is coming in. So you're going to have a lot to do with the construction of that facility.
We're very excited, and like you said, they're going to everything from the seawall. Right now, we have a garage or a barn with 4 covered wells, and they're going to expand that to make it 5. The 5th well is going to be a little bit bigger to accept that larger dive boat that we have. All new docks out front, a new building, a whole new facility, and everyone's very excited about it.
Yeah, it is probably the most premier law enforcement agency, marine safety program in the state of Michigan, and we're proud of that. And again, proud of the folks that are working out there on a regular basis. So again, the type of things you see on a normal basis. What are some of the main, I guess, concerns or issues when you're out there just normally patrolling, aside from waving and having conversation with folks and making sure they're enjoying their day? What are some of the big concerns you see regular?
Some of the biggest concerns would be parents who aren't well versed as far as the age and the licensing that we went over, and letting young people jump on a personal watercraft. Yet, they're not really a toy. That's still, I talk to people and say, would you let a 13 or a 14 or 15-year-old jump on a motorcycle and drive it down the street? These things nowadays, they're fast, they're big, those big 3-seaters. So parents need to remember, if I have a 14 or 15-year-old child, 12, 13, 14, 15, that they can't really be on that wave runner unless I'm with them and they have that boater safety card. Again, those dates that we went over, December 31st, 1978, you have to have that card. And, under the age of 14, I believe it is, you can't just operate it by yourself. So that's number one. The kids and the adults who are operating them need to know where you can go fast and where you need to go slow. The 100-foot rule, reckless operation. When you're close to other boats, and this is one of the biggest things we see too, when you're operating close to another boat, people don't realize we have what's called the 100-foot rule. So if there's a boat going slow and you're within 100 feet of them, you have to bring your boat down to slow no wake speed. If you're 100 feet from a dock, from a marked swimming area or a person in the water, the shoreline, you have to slow down and go driving at that slow no wake speed. And if you're on a wave runner, you can't just zip in and out of
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
That's all reckless operation.
I see the no wake violations quite a bit.
Right.
And
And your court, do you deal with all the citations that come out of Lake St. Clair from the Sheriff's Department?
they should.
Yes.
I
think
mean,
it-
it's the rule is the court that touches the water can deal with it. I'm a county court. It's a county sheriff's department does most of this, so it just makes sense to have it all in one place. Plus, depends on who you are, but it's like you get one set of rules, so even the deputies know what they're dealing with when, even if someone gets a violation, how essentially I'm going to treat it, which is probably like the way they do, which is, hey, okay, get your life jacket, slow down,
Rather
don't
than hammering them with
drink,
fines and
rather than
costs.
hammer probation, take away their license, and they can't boat for a while.
Right.
See, he's
It
a
takes
good-
off
he's a
all
good
kinds
judge.
of stuff.
Yes.
Bill's a
And,
nice
I mean,
judge. He's not there trying to generate revenue.
But-
That's what I like.
But that does raise the question. We got a couple minutes here, I think. I don't know.
We do. You go ahead.
What do you, because you mentioned it and you went and go, what is your right to board? Any vessel you see out on the water, can
That's
you
a good
pull up
question.
to and
I'm
just
glad- I'm
jump
glad you
on
asked
it?
that. So the way Michigan law reads is we can board a boat for the purpose of a safety inspection. So unlike a motor vehicle where you have to have some probable cause to stop that vehicle,
Right.
on the waterways in the state of Michigan, you can be stopped by a law enforcement officer for the simple fact you might not be doing anything wrong, but we want to see your safety equipment, do what's called a safety inspection. So you're going to look for, make sure that
Right.
they have a sound producing device, a horn, whistle, or bell, that they have the life jackets that we went over,
Right.
proper size and
The
fit for
fire
everybody on board.
extinguishers.
Fire extinguisher, a Type 4 throwable.
Do they need a radio?
They don't need a radio, no. They don't. I mean, I would recommend a radio, but there's no law saying you have to have one. I would recommend the charged cell phone is the biggest thing. What a lot of people don't realize, if you can call 911, and our new state-of-the-art dispatch center is going to be able to tell my deputies working on those patrol boats exactly where you are.
So
Your
that's
Latin
helpful.
lawn comes right out. They push it right out to the computers. These new patrol boats have computers on them, and
We know where
my
they're
guys can get right to you.
And again, they're not overly aggressive on that because
I just because you get, well, this officer came, our deputy, or came up and just pulled me over, and it's like, yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
and
it's different than the road,
right. And usually they wait to see if there's something wrong or something happened or
Correct.
they need to have a conversation with him. They're trying to. What they don't want to do is irritate the public out there. They realize people are out there. They're trying to enjoy their day, and so that interaction is more of a kind of a cordial interaction.
Right.
And
Yeah, people are out there to have fun, and the last thing we want to do is ruin their weekend. So we normally don't just, hey, there's no reason, but I want to do a safety inspection. There's enough boats out there and enough things going on that
Well,
we'll
you
pick
could
and
do it
choose
all
the
day.
people who are.
Yeah.
Everybody coming down the canal, you could pull up and line up and just,
Well, we're fortunate.
you could be that guy.
Well, we're fortunate. Having been there over the years and seeing that, and again, my affiliation with that Marine Division and affection for it, I am absolutely convinced we have the right guy out there and the right team under your leadership. I think Tony Wickersham, Sheriff Wickersham, did a great job of making a selection for this year and hopefully for years to come, having you out there. So can't thank you enough for helping educate the public on what's going on with the Marine Safety Program here in Macomb County. And again, excited about where we're headed, especially with that new facility. Looking forward to the groundbreaking as well as the ribbon cutting on that. And obviously, people that want to enjoy a lake, there is no better lake to enjoy than Lake St. Clair. It is the busiest freshwater lake than any other in the entire country during the summer months, and for good reason. Fishing, boating activity, sailing. It is the greatest of the Great Lakes. So. With that, Gary, thank you once again for being on the program, my brother Bill, and we want to thank you for tuning in once again to Relatively Speaking and remind you to keep you and your family healthy.